And we are live. Hi, Marko. How are you?
Hey, Miles, I'm doing good. How are you doing?
Great. Hey, good afternoon, everyone, and thanks for joining our presentation. It's Unveiling the Future of Image-Based AI. We're going to have a great discussion. Really excited to speak with Marko Jack today. He's our featured guest, the founder of Secta Labs. It's an exciting AI company that's reinventing professional headshots. So hello, Marko. Looking forward to the discussion. And welcome everyone on LinkedIn Live watching us. Also welcome to the members of the AI Exchange group on LinkedIn. And welcome to the people who missed this webinar and are watching us from the future on our recording. We are recording this and we'll make it available to everyone in the AI Exchange. Also, we will have time for a quick Q&A at the end. If you put comments in on the LinkedIn Live event, we're going to try to get to them sort of at about 2:30 or so and leave a few minutes for questions. So with that, let's get into it. So again, Marko Jack, founder of Secta Labs. He's an expert in AI. Sorry for saying that, Marko. I'm setting the expectations high.
You have to do a good job.
Great founder in the AI space, which of course is moving faster than a speeding bullet lately.
Yeah.
Myself, I'm Miles Jennings. I'm the CEO of recruiter.com, which is a hiring platform. I encourage you to visit recruiter.com and learn about our hiring solutions there. And I'm also the admin of the AI Exchange Forum. We created that platform on LinkedIn. It's a 1.1 million person group. It's getting a lot of discussion, all centered around AI. So of course, we're all wondering how we can possibly keep up with all the new developments in AI. And so we created a special group for this. We host discussions, questions, topics, things like that. And also great webinars and discussions like this. I'll do a little plug for myself for tomorrow. If you are interested in the hiring side and compliance side of AI, I'm speaking with a guy named Zach Long, who's also an accomplished founder of Conductor AI. And we're going to be speaking about more on the legal side. So some of the compliance issues around AI and using AI for ranking candidates and hiring. So that is tomorrow at 2 p.m. And let's get into it. Marko, do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself and about Secta?
Hey, Miles, appreciate it, and appreciate everyone who is, as you say, live now and in the kind of future as well. When you put up that screen which has our pictures, I was like, well, that's all you need to know. There's our AI images of you and me. And so basically, I think as a brief intro, basically what we do at what's in Secta Labs is we train an AI model on like your regular pictures. So you upload a whole bunch of selfies or regular photos, and we then generate hundreds, 200-300 of professional kind of looking images, which you can then use. And do you want me to give a bit of an introduction to like the what else would you like me to go through?
Why don't you tell us just a little bit about your company? I love hearing founder stories, sort of the aha moment of the company, the conception a little bit. And then I do want to show everybody, I thought especially because this was on image-based AI, it would be really important to actually see it. I'm a customer of your product. When I first saw it, I thought it was so cool and I wanted to just try it out myself. And I think it's important for people to see it. So we are going to share just a brief demo of the product and kind of talk about the tech side. I'm not a technologist, Marko, I think you are. And people would love to hear about sort of behind the scenes, how it works.
I've got some interesting things there. So I mean, the backstory is actually, this is my basically third startup, and my it's the first startup which I did was actually in the AI space as well. We did like a natural language kind of processing application, strangely enough in HR tech. And that's why the other day when you and I talked, I was talking about HR tech for some time. And where this idea came from is actually towards the end of last year. I mean, since I saw the AI art explosion, I'm pretty sure that you and others have actually seen this AI art thing that started up, let's say, beginning of last year, and really people started playing with the Journey and OpenAI's DALL-E models. And of course, I was actually one of those people playing with it and seeing what kind of applications I could build out of that. My co-founder and we actually started a sort of fun avatar thing on actually WhatsApp, and that was at the end of last year. And that was really a difficult time in a way, because nobody really wanted it. It's like, okay, what do you do with these fun avatars where you look like an anime character or like a superhero? And the idea was sort of born out of that. Actually, I had some kind of fight with my wife. And she sent me like a text one day, and she said, not that I'm speaking to you, but could you do this for a professional picture instead of just these kind of cool pictures which we came up with? And so that really is where that spark came from. It's like I could see a genuine application there, that people could actually use these images for their online profile, for their content. And after talking to a whole bunch of customers, the story kept repeating itself, which is that, like, oh, I've been meaning to get my picture updated. I have my kind of wedding photo there, or I have this photo that's like 5 years old, and I just don't want to spend the money, or I don't want to do it, or it's just quite a big deal to go and book a photography session somewhere. And so that's where it started. But very soon after we started doing it, we realized that it actually has quite an impact on people. Like if you see an image of yourself, how the AI does that, and in a way our responsibility is that we do it in a good way, that it can make you feel good about yourself. And so we're sort of driven by that goal now, which is to continue to improve the product and the technology to get you the most accurate and aesthetic kind of representation of yourself. So it's sort of, I would say, in kind of summary, it started with a genuine curiosity with what the technology could do, but keeping it very kind of loose as to what product that would be and what kind of business that would be. And then just putting it out there, putting it into the hands of customers and seeing what people say.
That's great. And a lot of the best companies are built that way. And, using, sort of playing around with some technology and then finding that perfect fit application. But it does sound like you're really saying that your wife invented the company, which I'm sure she's probably a real co-founder, right? Just say yes, Marko.
She would actually love to hear that. Yeah.
That's terrific. And AI images really they're getting so much sort of commentary. They're so impactful and sort of emotional for people, more so I would say even than the text based of like ChatGPT. And there's something about seeing these images, whether it's like Mid-Journey, people's like dreamscapes from Mid-Journey 5 or whatever, to professional headshots. There's really something about it. And you're receiving a lot of sort of virality, I think, on this platform, on LinkedIn, especially because it's a lot of professionals, posting their images. But let's get to it. Why don't you show your platform, and we'll see kind of behind the scenes of the tech.
Sure. I'll start off with just the sort of what it is and how it actually works. And then if you want, we can deep dive into how it actually works on the kind of technical side of it. So maybe the best place to start is here. So we talked about AI art. This is a tool built by Stability AI. This is not our platform, just to be clear, but I'm just going to demo this quickly as well, right? Because this is what we're all seeing with AI art, right? So this is when we say what's in a photo of a man, this is kind of what you are getting out of it, right? And we can type anything in here. So you have a very similar process to what you're seeing with the OpenAI's chat GPT models, right? You put in a prompt, means you give me a picture of something, and what the model does is it generates that actual picture. Now, what we are doing is we're taking an existing model, which is something like what you are seeing here, right? Even this one can do all kinds of pictures. and we are teaching it how to paint you, basically. So we're giving it your uploads. We're taking 25 of your pictures, and we are teaching it how to regenerate every picture, but that you are within that kind of picture. So that is what we call the kind of fine-tuning process. And what that actually looks like on our end is once you purchase, you'll come to this page here. And on this page, this is an existing account, which I have. You can choose you can select the underlying model that we actually fine tune on. This is just to guide things, right? Within like the man or like the woman, or if you don't want to choose, you can just choose basically person. And then this is one key thing that we brought out quite early on, because we found that there's bias in the underlying actual data set. I can talk some more about that. Maybe I'll come back to that. But we ask for the user's ethnic background so we can make sure that they get as good an experience as we can create. And I can talk some more what goes into that. And so really, once you've done that, you can just go, I'll continue, and you upload an entire bunch of pictures. Here's a whole bunch of pictures of me. I'm not going to upload some more now, but you get the idea. It can actually work off your phone or off your computer. We integrate that into Facebook, and so you can import pictures from pretty much anywhere. And the key thing which you'll see here is that we reject some of the images that you upload. So for example, if two images are the same, we'll tell you these two images are too much the same, and really that doesn't benefit the AI, because then we overtrain almost. We're not giving it new information. And then there could be something like this where it's saying the image is actually grayscale. So that is a problem as well. And I can talk through some more of that. But eventually, after you finish your upload, this is kind of what you get. A whole bunch of pictures. This is my original gallery here at the bottom. So you can see it's a wide variety of different styles. We try to give you a sort of batch of hundreds of different styles so that you can find something, and you can find an entire bunch of images which are good. And then at the top of the gallery, you can actually create more pictures. So you can actually control what kind of image you actually want. And a bit of an early preview for people who might be interested, we're actually building a third version of the gallery now, which is what you are seeing here. And that's where you can take an image that you already liked or that already came out of the batches, and you can do more things with it. So you can do something like a retouch. Recolor is what I've done here, as you can see. So I took the image here. I'll give you access to this as well, so you can take your kind of favorite picture and you can see all kinds of variations of it. That's a bit of an overview, I think, of what the process is, and I can go into more about how the technology works if you're keen.
This is great. And I remember I think I tried it out myself maybe 3 months ago or so.
Yes.
And it looks like it improved a lot from then. And it looks like you added a lot more granular controls and kind of editing functions.
That's right. Yeah.
I think when I was trying it, it was really just the output, and that was it. But I would say at that time, the results were probably, I would say, these are very unscientific. Maybe 20% were like throwaway, right? Like something very weird about them, right? Probably, let's see if I can do my math. Probably 40% okay, and then the rest were really pretty good. And there were probably a handful, maybe 6 or 7 photos that were really very good of me. It didn't look like somebody else. It looked like me, except probably me when I was rested and perhaps a little more tan than usual, going after a little low carb diet. It was sort of the best part of somebody's image. So it looks like you've added editing controls. Have you worked on the base quality of the generation and what the output is?
Yeah, I mean, that's a constant thing we're doing. So there's always efforts both in the when you upload the images, which images do we choose to train more on? And when we train images, think of it as like showing the AI model your picture and saying, here's a picture of Miles, pick up things on here kind of thing. So we're always making like improvements there. We're also making improvements, just like you saw, where we asked for the user's ethnic background so that we can improve the actual fine-tuning process. And that one we've made since you purchased your order, I would say the most improvements on that, so that the total output is actually better. Your estimates are still pretty much, I would say, a bit under now what I would say what the average person experiences. The average person is getting about, 30% great images. So we see total amounts of saved images in galleries ranging between like 50 and like 100, where they've actually saved the image and even downloaded those images. And the idea isn't to decrease the amount of bad images, but rather give you more control over the good images. Yeah. So that if you find a great image that you like, but the clothing isn't your style of clothing, then you can just change the clothing on that.
Sure.
And that's where like the V3 is actually coming in now.
And it's just getting better and better. And are you training? So like if I say I like my headshot, are you using my headshot to train another user's headshot, or is it only? No. Is there no aggregate?
Well, so when the only data that we use in an aggregate way, so what information you give us that we say use in a global way, is if you say this is a bad picture of me, so you have the delete button, where if you push that button, it asks you why is this a bad picture. That we use as a kind of feedback mechanism to say this prompt with this seed, with this kind of training mechanism is not okay, according to this person. So there is no identifiable image of you in there. It's more what were a machine learning inputs that are resulted in the bad picture, if like that makes sense. So there isn't anything connected to you or your picture, but just how it was created and your kind of feedback on that.
Oh, that's great. It sounds like you have, I know this is almost getting into like your privacy policy, but it's so important. And so people feel like they are training the data models with their own images, and perhaps even allowing companies to use those images in ways that I think when you sign up for Facebook, they can probably put your image on a giant billboard if they want to and use it for marketing purposes, things like that. I know you've made sure to sort of be explicit about how it's being used and being very, kind of careful about the ethics around that.
Yeah. I mean, that's also why we don't have that many good images on our site of examples of people that have actually done it in the gallery. It's something I have been meaning to do, which is we have some great community members who are like, please feel free to use the pictures. I still don't feel comfortable without them kind of signing off that these ones are okay to put on the website or to use. So I haven't done that. It's been like 2 weeks or 3 weeks.
It's great that you're being careful about it. And not every company is.
No, I need them to sign. I can't just put your picture on like the website without, asking you. Actually, it sort of backfires a bit for us because we also have like a Teams plan. So companies are interested, right? So it's like, of course, because they buy it for themselves and they're like, oh, this could be great for our team. Can we get like an on-brand one? So we actually have a Teams plan. We just haven't launched it on like a public page. We just have companies who come to us. And one of the problems there, where this comes in, is that if they buy a package of headshots for one of their team members, they're going to ask us, where are the pictures? And we're like, well, we don't give you the pictures. We give your team member the pictures, and they can choose which ones they want to share. And that becomes a bit of a problem because they go like, but I paid for it. But I'm like, but it's their pictures. So you're going to have to ask them which ones can you then, so that so there's always this kind of trade-off between improving the product and the privacy and making sure the product is, easy to use. And we are on the side of making sure like the user has the control.
I believe the Midjourney CEO, maybe he accidentally stated that he had trained the model on 100 million photographs and art from people that were unauthorized. So it's great you're being, a little more careful with that. Hey, back to the tech a little bit. I'd like to ask, what's the most difficult technical challenge that you are kind of grappling with right now? Like, what's the hardest tech problem you're working on?
Nice one. Yeah, I'll actually show you, and then you can see it. There's also explains a bit about how the technology works. So
Great.
I think I stopped sharing, so let me do that again. This might be, that's quite a like, whoa, what's this? All right. So here you have like, just to give the context, right? What you have is let's say a default picture here, and you don't have to worry about what the default picture is. It just depends on the seed. So what we call basically what the kind of seed is, what like the random noise comes into the image model and what that generates out. And this is now what the actual fine-tuning process is. So what you'll see is it's starting to look like me as we go further and further down. And this is just basically like the inference part of this, which means where we prompt the actual model, give me a picture of a man in the outdoors here, say, or write a picture of the man with some blurred kind of lights in the background. And so this is always the ongoing kind of challenge for us is you can see it starts to look like me, although you might think that, it's always difficult for someone else to gauge where your ideal is, your own perception of yourself is best. Right. But as we go further down, you'll start to see that it overcooks. That's what we call the actual fine-tuning process. And what you can see at the bottom is it just starts to blur out the face. So you have a very narrow margin of error when doing this kind of process. And the biggest sort of challenge then to answer your question is, what is this margin of error for every single person coming to us? Because it's not the same. So you might have a different grid where your pictures are, you prefer this part versus this part. And I can't just apply the same set of the parameters to everyone. And that's a function of your skin color, it's a function of your face, it's a function of your uploads, how many pictures you'd upload, all of that comes into play. And so that's
how close the person wants to tune to their real life face. So like one person might be looking for more of an avatar for online use. The other person is trying to emulate a 4K resolution professional headshot.
Yeah, basically it's a balance of creativity to some extent, where the model can still generate the artistic parts. For example, this colorful image background, and between you're getting the most realistic view of your face as we can. For some of the other companies who could be doing this is not a problem for them as much, because what they do is they correct your face afterwards. So all the other AI things out there, which you see where there's a professional kind of headshot, your face is corrected at the end, which means that it reduces the amount of bad outputs at the cost of you looking like you've been retouched, like a very artificial look to your face. And our users, and I tend to agree with them, care about it being like, I want it to be me. I just want to look like your point, just 10% kind of better, me on a good day, me after a couple of months of holiday, but I don't want it to look like I've had 6 hours of makeup or something. So this is the core kind of challenge that we're still attacking in all kinds of ways.
Right. Are you seeing improvements in the last couple months or so in that area?
Oh yeah, definitely. A big thing has been that the user feedback, being really kind of grateful for the community which we have. We have a community of about 80 members now. We sort of just invite people on an ad hoc kind of basis, whoever seems like the most engaged with us. and they've been really great. So everything that we put out, we just put it out to them, and they have no problem in complaining or saying this is a terrible image or this one's better than that. I think the biggest problem is you can't judge someone else's picture. Like if I were to try with your gallery and I came to you, Miles, I said, this is the best gallery of you I've ever seen, you might actually say, sorry, it's not as good. Yes, it's better in this way, but I prefer this one. And because of that, it's really important to get that kind of feedback for us.
I can tell you, I shared it with my my 80-year-old mother and father when I came across the site and everything, made the purchase, and I showed them the gallery, and they were pretty amazed. You know, older people, actually everybody is like pretty amazed with all this AI stuff, right? And they were like, "Oh, that one, you know, that one doesn't really look like you." Oh, but that one does. They had their own preferences. I almost thought you were going to say the greatest tech challenge was hands. For some reason, AI can't do hands.
Hands is actually, we know how to do it. Like 80% of it. It's being solved somewhat in the what we call the conditioning kind of process, which is once the image is created out of the model, how do we fix it up? We've already made some improvements to it, but we're not, the main thing for us, the hardest challenge is actually your face. And everyone sort of discounts that, right? Because like, okay, well, like the hands, I really want the body, I really want this in the background. And our real thing is like, how do we get it to look like a picture of you taken by a professional or photographer? That's as close to the goal as we want to actually get to, but then introducing all the creativity and the ability to change that incrementally.
Excellent. Let's get a little bit into the kind of macro stuff, if you will. There's a lot of fear out there, right, of AI. I can actually tell you, my my high school daughter she just today got her senior portrait photographs done, and she very reluctantly went to a professional photographer, and you know they had to do the outfit changes and all of that makeup and all that stuff. She doesn't like that sort of thing. I'm sure she would rather use AI, but there are a lot of people saying, hey, what about the professional photographer? What about the artist in the case of Midjourney and everything? What are your thoughts on that? We had a good conversation about how it might enable how your product might enable some functionality with professional photographers and kind of help them and maybe even help them monetize a little bit. Just some thoughts on that?
Yeah. That's kind of top secret, but I'm glad to speak about it. I just want to say, I was looking at the comments and I want to give Evan a kind of shout out. Thank you, Evan. You look really good, like in that picture. I saw he said this headshot was created.
Oh yeah.
And I see there's a couple of other good, a couple of other comments on the impact that AI will have on, or how AI will be integrated with learning and development. So maybe we can come back to that one. But I think, let me not derail you on the kind of Q&A, but just encouraging people to ask, put your comments in there, put any kind of questions in there. Coming back to your question, yeah, I think you have to understand where the fear comes from, like especially for the artists, because like the natural reaction to this is how much of this is going to replace what I'm doing. And I think like we've got this. We've always been able to create synthetic media, if that makes sense. You've always been able to kind of Photoshop something, but the barrier to entry of doing this now has gone down, and that's why we actually having a talk around this. From our side, what we're doing is we don't believe in just sort of sprinkling tech and then who cares about things. We actually, to what you asked me about now, what we actually are kind of working on is a way for photographers to upload all of their pictures, and then we create a certain style for that particular photographer, and then so you could then choose to get your picture taken by this photographer without actually going there. And that sort of seems to be like the best of all kind of worlds for us. The customer is getting a 10x better kind of product, but at the same time, we are preserving the creative aspect of it.
Yeah, I have to be an optimist about this stuff. When like Photoshop just got upgraded with their generative fill capability, like just some amazing stuff, right? But I'm not a graphic designer. I still can't use Photoshop. I couldn't use Photoshop a month ago, and now I still can't really use Photoshop. So it seems like the people who are going to benefit are going to be the early adopters who use these tools to their advantage and really create amazing things with it. So I have to be an optimist. There, artists, I think in particular, they feel like if something's going to spit out, 600 artistic works when they spend 3 hours doing one, it's a problem. But it's only a problem if their work is being trained on, right? There's actually a website that I came across called haveibeentrained.com. And it is for artists and photographers to see if their work has been used in these AI models, right? And what's really interesting is it kind of points to a future whereby artists and photographers' work is respected and perhaps even like more valued in that it's extremely unique. And then everything else is kind of like this open source model that's being used, just by everyone, right? So it's really interesting. I have to be an optimist about it. One more question, if I can. If you take out your crystal ball, all right, I won't say 5 years. What is image-based AI? Like, what's the most exciting thing that's going to happen in 2 years, in 3 years? Like, where is this going? Are we inventing Pixar movies in our spare time every 5 minutes?
Yeah, look, like what you're seeing with image-based AI, and you could even throw kind of video in there and audio in there because it's very similar underlying technologies. I mean, images, kind of video is multiple images at the same time to an extent, of course. The biggest change that we're going to see is that these means of production, the ability to create these things, is going to go more and more into the hands of the average person. So yeah, to your point, Miles, like, do you want to make what's in a Pixar movie from like the comfort of your own home in 1 year or in 2 years' time? Like, that's maybe
Starring
3 years out. Yeah. I mean, you can already do something now with a product called V2nify. That's an open source model where you upload just like a normal kind of video, and it makes it into like a Pixar video, and it's pretty good. Like, it's really, really good. So you can actually just go from full real-time kind of video into the animation. And I think that's the first thing that we're going to start to see is people making animated kind of animated films, which they've basically shot.
Right. It's amazing. It's gonna be an amazing future. Probably our children will be able to place themselves however they want creatively in the world, right? And then perhaps look at it through the computer vision Apple goggles, which I won't be buying my children, but little too pricey.
Yeah, at $3,000, that's a bit much.
It's a little much. And before we get to the Q&A, if somebody wants to get a professional headshot, I tell them how to do so.
Go onto like the website and buy it. But I think what we could do is anyone who's I'm jumping into Secta ASAP. I'm looking at the comments. Thank you so much. We can maybe, for those who have actually signed up, I don't know if we have an RSVP list, I'd be glad to send like a promo code and art just to say thanks for being here. But yeah, that's where you go.
Yep. Okay. Sounds good. I got a text about learning about all of this stuff. So this is, I don't know if you have an answer to this, but how would you go about, the person said to me, like, they want to learn more about this stuff. They're not a technical expert. What are some of the best resources to learn about image-based AI and just sort of, I know it's changing fast, right? But how do you stay on top of things?
I have a couple of Twitter lists that I created with a bunch of people I kind of follow. I'll be glad to put them out there. There's some varying ones, one for AI art, one for more AI kind of research. And so it depends how deep you want to go. But on the image-based side, if someone would like to learn about, let's say, how they could become an artist with AI, there's a package called Automatic 1111. So basically, what's in 4 ones. It takes a bit of doing to install on like a Windows computer, and you'll need a NVIDIA card. So like an RTX, what's in 3090 and up would be ideal. But that package doesn't require you to learn how to code. And there's a whole bunch of online resources about that. And so Automatic 1111 is a great open source tool that you can do all of this stuff in. So almost everything that we are doing, you could kind of replicate in there. Of course, the actual fine tuning process where you train on your own pictures, that's the hard part. But in terms of generating pictures and recomposing them, putting a car here, putting this here, there's a whole bunch of resources, and that would really get you all in on it.
Great. Thank you. I know I wrote that one down myself. And actually, Marko, I have one technical question. Your product is image to image, right? Like the prompt essentially is the, say, 25 images that you're uploading. What's the major difference there? Like, I know these large models have been trained basically like with alt text from images on the internet, and they're using prompts. So if you go to like Adobe Firefly, something like that, you are saying, hey, a little kid standing in a forest wearing a hat. You're using text to generate the prompt. So you're using images. Is that a different category of AI?
No. Okay. So to clarify that, so all of the image models which you're seeing, DALL-E, the stability models, everything that you're seeing, including Midjourney, these are all fundamentally text to image models. So you type in some text and it gives you an image out. And what has made this explosion kind of happen is this accuracy, this ability to recreate an image based on your text, like, a picture of an astronaut on top of a horse, and you actually get it. And so it's all text to image, and including with us. However, what we do image to image with is, so image to image is an additional technique, right? So you're saying, once I create the image, I take an image that came out of the process and I use that as a kind of template to make additional kind of changes on. So what you saw in the demo earlier, where your clothing changed color, there's some image to image or technology in there. So you say, I've got a great picture, I want to change that picture. But we don't do as much image to image off your uploaded pictures. Your uploaded pictures are used to train the what's in base model and say, okay, please recreate this person. And to answer in the comments, that's the exact automatic, the stable auto diffusion, what's in web UI.
Hi Clovis.
That's the tool.
That's one of our developers. He loves this stuff. And we're building an AI product on the text side of things ourselves. To get to another one of the comments, Yamini asked about learning and development and how AI will be integrated in that. I've seen interesting models where they have video avatars of people training, say, employees who are coming into an organization, things like that. Where do you kind of see broadly these kind of tools being integrated into business processes? Like the tech side has just exploded, and say like in marketing, HubSpot has ChatGPT built in, right? So is this same thing going to happen with image AI being built into existing kind of corporate enterprise type products?
I don't see the application there, to be honest with you. Like, I feel like whenever you're interacting with a person in a company, the most important part to you is that you're interacting with an actual person. And I mean, if you can't get like a resolution with like a chatbot, whether you put a avatar of them as well, that's not really helping you. I don't know how much actual value that adds. I think it's pretty cool, but at the end of the day, when you're interacting with someone, especially let's say sales even or customer, the support, the important part to you is that you're interacting with an actual person. There's a whole bunch of automations out there that try to decrease the amount of support tickets, and those are great because maybe I don't have to interact with someone and it can just actually solve my problem. So I don't know that much. I don't see the full use case for a 3D avatar, except for in like a virtual world where we're all together in like a virtual world, and I want that to represent myself in a specific kind of way. But besides that, I'm not sure.
Okay, humans for the win. You know, we need a win now and again.
Yeah.
Great stuff. Okay, we are going to wrap. Marko, any last thoughts?
I just want to see if we missed any questions in the comments.
I'm trying to keep up with my phone.
I think we did. I think we covered everything.
I think we're okay, and we can do a follow-up and do a link. I wanted to mention, I probably shouldn't say this, but I know you are going to be seen a lot on some big media sites. I think you have the Wall Street Journal coming up and Fox coming up. You're going to see a lot more of Marko in the news. Sometimes the real Marko, sometimes his AI-generated headshots.
It'll be an avatar. Let's end there. Yeah.
Very good. Marko, thank you so much for joining. It's been a lot of fun. And everyone, we will make the recording available, and you can watch again or watch for the first time. Thanks, everyone.
Hey, Miles, thanks a lot for everything. Okay. And thanks everyone else for joining.
Have a great afternoon.
Goodbye.